been talking about an organization that's helping change the lives of single mothers to gain a real sense of structure, balance, and strength in their lives. Here now is Penn State instructor, author, and board member from Empowering Women's Engagement Foundation, Dr. Scott Glenn. Welcome, Dr. Scott Glenn. How are you?
Great. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you. How did you get involved with the foundation, Scott?
Well, I knew Dr. Cheryl back in grad school, and in the mid-2000s, she talked about forming this nonprofit organization. And because of my motivation, I'm a motivational person towards everybody. She asked me to be a part of it in terms of being on the board. So I told her certainly as soon as she got done with her doctorate. I find it particularly important, in my life to help people out, and I find gratitude in doing so from all different walks of life. And what a better chance than to help people, especially women that need this type of assistance.
And I think it's important that there is a man on the board. I don't know what the whole board is composed of, but that there is a man on the board that is helping women, because I think that makes a difference too. What are some of the upcoming events? Because I know that the organization relies a lot on funds and fundraisers. So what are some of the fundraisers that are taking place?
Okay, right now we're feverishly working on various people to help us sponsor these organizations and the things that are coming up within the fall as well as next year. In the fall, our next big move is to have the silent auction as well as the masquerade ball, which is very formal. You'll come in your formal dressing, your mask.
Do you attend these?
I shall attend, my wife and I, yes. And there'll be festivities such as prizes. There'll be a live band, Central Florida Zone.
I want to be invited.
Sure,
here.
you'll
Okay,
be invited.
great.
I think you're already on the list. And like I said, prizes. There'll be professional photographers there, as well as some very renowned people within the Florida and surrounding areas.
That's great. And do you feel that those kinds of events really begin to get a lot of people interested in what's going on?
Yes, again, like I said, it's based on the women that are need this sufficiency, and when you focus on one part of the aspect, then it branches out into their families as well as the community,
right.
And it branches out into the nation, and it's is such as what we want to do. But it helps everyone. It's not just for the women, but it helps the community in general.
And even though right now, as Cheryl was talking, we're focusing on Florida, the plans for the organization is to really go global, right?
Right. Well, right now, because of time and money, which we're getting a lot of help.
Right.
The local area in Orlando is doing great, but we want to branch out into different parts of Florida and then initially get into the United States as well and even go globally.
I think that's important because, again, many women need that and where they're raising children, and that's the future generation, and they need to know that there's something else, there are other options out there.
Right. A lot of times we can be left under the cover not understanding various lives, such as women who have children who are living in poverty. It's not that they think that they're entitled or they're looking for something free. It's just something to help them in a tough economy that we all live in so that they can proceed and have a basic living or they're living according to their family and like the rest of society.
Right, and I think that there's been a misconception from the general public about people and women, like Cheryl and I were talking earlier, who are working diligently and many more than 35 plus hours a week, and yet their lives are substandard. What are some of the needs of the organization?
Right now, in general, since our organization is starting to grow, we have over 30 women, and now we're getting more. We want to focus on getting a bigger building, okay, so we can support the women and their needs. We have a couple sponsors. We're looking for philanthropists to come in and get involved some more so that we can expand our buildings and our property.
I think that's great, Scott. Well, I wish you all the luck, and I'm going to be at that ball with my little mask on, and thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. Still to come, horrible bosses. Do they exist? So how do you deal with them? They do exist, and we'll tell you about that when we return.
See, this is what concerns me, Nick. You're a punctual guy. You know the importance of being here right at 6 a.m., which is what leads me to think that there must be something wrong with the internal clock on our security system.
May have been a minute late.
Well, no, but according to this, you were 2 minutes late. So either you're a liar or this system is off by a full minute.
Welcome back. That was a clip from the hit comedy Horrible Bosses. But contrary to what you might believe, bosses like the one played by Kevin Spacey do exist. And here with advice on how to handle a horrible boss is best-selling author and radio host of The Business of Living, Scott Ventrella. Welcome. Did I pronounce it right?
It was perfect.
Thank
you, Joanne.
My pleasure. 7 prototypes of horrible bosses.
Yeah.
Let's see, I think I may have rat, badger, chameleon, Tasmanian devil, squirrel.
You got the, good. You're doing very
Okay,
well.
help me with the last
You
two.
got the, let's see, did you cover the fox?
Fox.
And then the hog.
Hog.
Ah,
Thank you.
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
7. Okay.
How many have you encountered in your career?
Maybe too many.
Yeah, same, exactly, yeah.
So given those prototypes and those kinds of bosses that really do exist, Scott, which one is the most difficult that you think to work with?
I would say actually the rat. The rat, and I'll tell you why. Because the rat is a sketchy character. The rat is untrustworthy. They are sneaky. They play fast and loose with the rules. And I'll tell you why it's so difficult, because I'm talking about they border on both ethics and sometimes, and I've come across this in my coaching experience, sometimes they'll actually slip into areas that are possibly illegal, but unethical for sure.
Right.
And Joanne, the reason why I say it's so difficult is because depending on the organization, publicly held companies generally will have a place that you can go to, an ethics hotline, an ombudsman, a chief ethics officer, human resources. And then you can, if you believe that there's something going on unethical, then you have at least those channels. Privately held companies, not so much.
They don't have that.
No.
And also, you and I were talking, what if the person, the boss, is actually in cahoots with the human resources person or whatever? What opportunity or chances does somebody have, or recourse do they have
That
then?
is and I've run across that before, by the way, where they tried to go through the human resources channel. The human resources tipped off the boss, and when they got back back to their office, they were reprimanded by the boss. They knew exactly. So HR was kind of, like you said, they were in cahoots. That is very, very difficult, and actually, it's very rare that I would say just select out. But there's not really much that you can do in that kind of a situation. Now, if there's something going on, again, where the behavior, it could be harassment, et cetera, you may have to go to outside external sources.
Right, and you may have recourse for that.
Exactly.
But it's
and
hard
it doesn't
to
usually end well either. It's hard to prove.
Right.
You have to have some kind of a paper trail, hard to prove. And when I say it doesn't end well, you may get your job back, or you may have your job, but then there are different ways that they can make your life miserable.
But also then going to the next job, it may be really difficult because of everything that you did beforehand.
That's right.
The chameleon, now that's a wishy-washy kind of a boss. How does somebody deal with that kind of a boss?
The chameleon, because they're telling you one thing and you think you're clear, okay, we understand, we're on the same page, and then you go ahead and you act and you think you're doing a great job, but then they've shifted opinion, and they also like to play one employee off of the other.
So how do you deal with somebody like that?
Yeah, in that case, I do like to make sure you pin them down. Yes.
In writing, probably.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you do it in a way, we're not talking in a lawyerly way. We're talking about, let me just clarify and confirm, your expectations. And you're not going to ask them to write it down.
Right. So you write it down. But
I'm going to write it down.
Given what you just said, is this right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the email.
Yes,
Is this what you said? Just so that I get it right, rather right.
And do it via email, because you want to have that.
You
want
need
to
a
have
trail, but not a
So
formal
you can at least
trail.
say, and you don't want it to come to where you're knocking heads. You just want to say, look, so I understand now you're changing, midstream, but I thought we had talked and we had agreed on this, and you might have that handy to refer to.
Right. So many people think that bullying only takes place with kids, and there's so much more going on at work in offices. What are the ramifications?
Yeah,
of
that's
bullying?
the Tasmanian devil, by the way.
Really?
Think Miranda Priestley and the
right,
Devil Wears Prada.
right.
No, really, she was a bully. Kevin Spacey, a bully.
Right.
Bullies, ultimately they want control. They want control, and they will target an individual with ultimately just wanting to destroy them. With the bullies, there is recourse though. And that's where, again, you do need evidence, and there's different ways to, you want to be able to collect that.
Okay, but at least you're able to keep that trail so that you can be taken care of in some way.
And again, you can either use your internal, if you trust your human resources, that is a good place to go.
Right.
You can go over their head if it's that bad, and I've seen that happen, or you can go, again, to an external source if it becomes so unbearable.
Scott, you're such a resource of information, and I wish we had more time. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks so much for your great books.
Thank you.
I'm going to hold them up. Okay, thanks again. Thanks
you,
for being
Joanne.
with us today on our next Power Your Life, tips on how to live your passion and walk on purpose with image and branding expert S. Renee. I hope you'll join us.